Thank you. As has been hinted, my mother really arranged this service years ago, and she asked for us three sons to speak. She told Stephen what to say. She didn't tell me. She knew better than that. That was always a little bit of a problem. She told me, when I was just a little boy, I'd sleep all day, and she'd maybe get to bed because she, as you know, was a very hard worker, a late worker, so much to do with all of us children. And she'd maybe just get to bed around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. About 4 or 5 o'clock, I'd toddle into the bedroom and say, Mommy, it's time to get up. So she didn't need an alarm clock. As has been mentioned, as you know, she outlived most of her siblings, and actually at 98 and a half years old, she outlived most of her friends. And I think Mother was getting a little bit concerned. So many friends, family members in heaven, they'd start worrying that she didn't make it. In Luke chapter 17, 10 leprous men were healed by Jesus. Only one came back to say thank you. That's one of the things I want to mention, that my mother always taught us to be grateful. If we received a gift at Christmas for our birthdays or whatever from the person maybe at some distance, one of the first things that we knew, after a while, it just got automatic. We'd get pencil, probably not pen, pencil and paper, and if Mother had to print the word, she'd print the word, and we would write thank yous. And by the way, as I've thought of it later in life, I don't think there will be a single person in hell who is truly grateful to Jesus. Do you? And part of that gratefulness that people say that we have as a family really started basically when we were no more than infants, as Mother led the example to make sure that we said thank you for the many blessings. And we've had many blessings. On your bulletin, it said we moved to Three Hills, and it's right. We did for the last time in 1955. But we moved to Three Hills, first of all, in 1945, right after the war. And there were not any paved roads within dozens of miles of Three Hills at that time. The only running water in Three Hills was when you ran for it. There was no sewer system. And we came from an area that we didn't realize that, but in terms wealthy, of having so many convenience. My grandfather had the first electricity in his town. He had his own private generator for his store. And my mother, my dad, our family, for the first month or so that we were in Three Hills, we lived in an abandoned farmhouse, no water, no electricity. So many of us and so much of our stuff, we could hardly get through one of the hallways of the home because it was packed. And I want to just say right now that even though many of the people of that generation have moved on to glory, there are relatives here at least. And if you weren't acquainted with us in 1945 and those later years in the 40s, I want to say that your relatives were a tremendous blessing to us. And I want to thank you on behalf of your family members who've maybe gone on before, just like I thank you for what you mean to us as a family, because especially of what you've meant to our mother. I want to just say, too, that we are very grateful to Pastor Rod Masterson, Pastor Norm Coop, and to the entire congregation here at Mount Olive for their help, and for the help of Prairie Tabernacle Congregation for what they have done to us. We as a family would not be what we are today if there hadn't been Prairie Bible Institute and a mother and a father that was willing to leave everything they knew behind to venture to Three Hills, Alberta. My mother said if she had known that there was such a thing as a Bible college when she was a teenager, she would have walked all those 700 miles. And knowing my mother, she would have walked to get there. So we want to say a great big thank you to the congregations, to the pastors, and to you, because every one of you have been a blessing to my mother, and therefore a blessing to me and to the rest of my siblings, whether we really know you personally or not. I want to just say that we are grateful to so many of you who visited my mother when she was living at our home, our family home, at Linden, and then at the continuing care at the hospital. That meant so much to us because except for Stephen, all of us live hundreds and hundreds of miles from here, and we just couldn't make those daily visits that you did. And so we're very grateful to the Rendos for not only being here, but my mother would say how many times Steve and Dave visited her. And she would often tell us about you who visited her. And we are very, very grateful for that. Now, as siblings, I haven't shared this with any of my brothers or sisters, but I want to just say very, very publicly that we are very grateful to our brother Stephen. For the last 36, 37 years, I have lived about 1,500 miles from here. I'm a busy pastor. Probably most weekends I have at least one wedding or more. I can't get away very easily. Now, I can do other things, but I can't be here. And our brother Stephen has had the hands-on ministry. A week ago yesterday, when I announced to my secretary that Mother, and I told her, I said, you know, when someone that was a Christian died, Mother would say, they've gone to glory. And I said, my mother, our mother, has gone to glory. And she said this, she said, well, your mother has left behind a great inheritance. In Sault Ste. Marie, last Sunday, we had a memorial service for my mother. Some of the people know her from past years. And as a businessman was leaving our church service, I was at the door shaking hands as people were leaving. And he said this, and I think it's true. He said, Sault Ste. Marie, we're a city of about 75,000, 80,000. He said, our city owes a lot to your mother. And I started to think of all the communities that my siblings live in. And every one of those communities would say the same thing about every one of them. Because every one of them have been spiritually enriched as a result of the dedication and love and the stand of our mother. And we really appreciate the ability and the fact that our mother's life does go on even in us. God bless you. And now Pastor McMahon will come and lead us in the interment. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're going to have a special congregational number, aren't we? All right. Stephen, trust and obey.